have this core of loving, and I can relate to life in a way that comes forward in my life. It supports me in an abundant picture of that. See? Which is even more possible because there's no hidden places. There's no places you're hiding out from yourself. Nothing you don't want to tell yourself. So the light can just move through you, and so that when that occurs, you become transparent to this field of energy that's the loving, that's the hidden agenda. So we always suspect, oh, there's a conspiracy, and we're right. But since when we're from a viewpoint of fear, we think it's a negative conspiracy, and there are such things. But when we're in the loving, the conspiracy is the loving. So all the reversals are brought back into perspective, and so we have that place we can work from. So in building Insight University, when I started out with this and with Greg, and we were going, well, what's going on here? How can we do this? How can we embrace the wholeness through this format of education? So that became our scenario of how do we build a school on this basis. So the first level of that was, we'll create a curriculum that educates heart-based leaders for transformational world service. Well, once you become heart-based, you can't help yourself but to participate in transformational world service. So there's a certain power in coming to grips with yourself and develop the focus and the will and the discipline to pursue that. So that's what we've been doing in this course is the whole curriculum for that matter, but looking at all the aspects of the tools we need in the world, but not in a way that the tools shape us. So when some issue would come up with some academic task that seemed brutal, and academia can be, we say, wait a minute, that is the shaping me. So how do I be in myself? Well, when we reorient so that we approach that with curiosity and loving, the different consciousness comes about, a different level of intelligence and perception, and it doesn't seem like the same kind of challenge, you see. And once that alignment occurs, so it's clear then that the as we prepare for how the world works and the tools we need to do that, we're also preparing in relationship to each of them how we have to be in ourselves in order to have that resilience to engage it and to move in it. Like the, see, do I still have that? Oh yeah, here it is. My little Olympics thing from last week about the world on one side is faster, higher, stronger, and that looks great, and the other world is slower, deeper, wiser. And of course my point is that you really need both. So in the slower, deeper, wiser, we go into the loving, and so we also need the tools for, faster. I don't know why I keep faster, higher, stronger. So that we do both. See, and actually by doing the slower, deeper, wiser first, we can not only learn the tools we need easier, but we know what to do with them. See, so we're even faster. So the real faster, stronger, higher reaches new levels because of the deeper, slower. So we slow down and speed up. And that takes us into that, just that loving resource. And it gives us the resilience to not lose ourselves in the face of anything. So that's always the key. The tools aren't enough. You have to be able to be you in your centered, connected consciousness in their presence when you do it. So there's that practice of training your mind to be strong enough to stay in your presence. So when a distracting element comes up, you see it and you can engage it, but it doesn't pull you away or it doesn't trigger you. See, it just is there. And of course, then the only response is the loving. Well, it can't get hold of that. See, so your frequency keeps getting stronger, and the mind keeps getting stronger, and your ability to use your will to focus, and so then your loving just permeates everything. And as we invited many times, that there's a preconception of loving. There's a preconception of Buddha. There's a preconception of Christ. It's been talked about and taught. And so our ideas of these connected states into that resource of loving, of the inexhaustible resource of loving, as Sorokin puts it in terms of what all great transformers through loving are in touch with. Our ideas of what that is get in the way. So it's a challenge. How in our innocence do we look at that so that our preconceptions, our karma, our ideas, our brilliance, our thinking tries to shape it. So how do we look past that? See? How do we look at it with soul eyes, as we might say? Like, how does the soul see this? See? There's a perspective of life that's clear, that life is a mirror, that this is people's experience, reflects back. So to really encompass the whole universe of life, you have to wake up past the mirror, this mirroring. See, now there's ways of certainly metaphysical teachings about that, but there's also just common sense teachings about that. This reflects back, and what's going on inside of you reflects back. See, and so the guidance is there. You go in first. You go to the wholeness first. See, and then in your manifestation process, you meet it. You engage it in life when it approaches you. So that way you can always be present in this higher, wiser, loving consciousness. Have it grounded into earth, so it's not a loose, airy-fairy thing. And it's really good to I've said this over and over, to learn to observe yourself and listen to yourself. So in your tone of voice and your speech and the way you say things, you can tell if you're aligned or not, because it's so easy to get pulled out. Sometimes we're better waiting if we don't have anything congruent to say. And this is true even from whether it's a deep, profound something or it's small talk. Small talk can be congruent because you're using speech to form relationship and connect with the loving, instead of using the speech to reaffirm and organize people into reaffirming who you think you are, your self-concept. See, so even small talk, see, it's a way of forming relationship, and so you're forming relationship all the time, and this starts building that capacity to bring not only your presence, but the presence of a situation. So it's like in your presence, as a bigger presence comes to meet you. See, so then your connected to something that's everything is inside of, and that you literally have the inside track. See? So it really, I'm really excited because from the beginning we've been able to go deeper and unfold this. So we become stronger and deeper and faster and slower at the same time. And when you can entertain things that seem opposite in this way, there's this deep unity comes up, this way of being that catches what's going on, it sees what's going on. And part of this scenario reflection is to come to terms with your life and is a trustworthy process. Like I was saying, there is a plan. So there's the trajectory of your own life path that seems invisible at first, so we doubt. But that path is there. And I could see in the scenario paper people are pulling it out and making it conscious, more so, at least to the point where the best case is connected to your present existence, so that process of manifestation can occur, and the process and your ability to adjust as you go, because there's things we don't know, so things always come up in surprised ways, and we're very easily tricked sometime into thinking that, our positive scenario isn't coming about, but that's just the way it seems. So when you learn to be present and don't react or don't get pulled out by that, have the strength of will to hold in the presence, there's a perceptive sweep happens where you see what's really coming, or see how to move over a little, or another doorway to do that in. I was talking to an associate earlier, and we were, both older, and I guess at some point you're free enough and you're clear enough to look back on your life differently. So we're looking back on it started out with our favorite decade, like for me the 60s for a long time was my favorite decade because of its was very iconoclastic. This one got involved in the civil rights movement, and civil rights movement kind of beat me up. I went down south some, not the physical beating, but beat up my idealism. And in terms of these trying to change the system, it's a system. We all blame the system. The system's what's screwing us up, and it is in a way. There's some kind of we can see this today. There's such a polarization in things, and of course, that's great in a sense. It'll just polarize till it wipes itself out. So if you can stay centered, you're the only one standing. So it's some perspective in that. But what I came to is that what I ended up in that decade was not only was it person to person, and a change of consciousness. There was and the education that was center of it. But in that was went even further. So first it was you have to change consciousness. It's not you can't change the system. You have to change consciousness. And that changes the reality, and so that system just isn't there anymore. And then from that was the deepening and meeting teachers, and by the end of that decade I was in, now it's time to learn how energy and consciousness works even more profoundly.